Okay, this is Blast Master Marizu. I just wanted to cover off a couple of issues around the Visual Cortex and Genlock. I've been corresponding with a guy called James, and unfortunately the Muffs forum's down, so I thought I'd put this together and try and clear up and explain what some of these issues are. In this current setup, I've got a Visual Cortex with an image from a CCTV camera going into the left side of it and an image from a camcorder going into the right hand side of it. So it's coming in through here in the component, which means that I can actually take a colour picture. The Visual Cortex will only give a colour picture if it's a component and a standard def component input. And I've just mapped those red, green and blues that are coming in to here. Got a ramp here. It's a diagonal ramp which I'm using as a keyer. So where I set that threshold, that keying threshold, depends on what shows on the screen. I just thought diagonal was marginally more interesting. Now these lights at the top left of the Cortex are quite interesting. I'm in a PAL region, I'm in the UK, so this input is actually a PAL input, and that indicates that it's actually locked. So what locked means is, when you've got an analog TV signal, there are a number of, there's not just the TV information that comes out, the picture information, but there's a number of timing signals that come out. A TV typically listens to those timing signals and determines when it needs to start drawing a new frame or start drawing a new line. These are really quite important. Yeah, if you've not got these timing signals synchronized with the picture that's being drawn, then your picture won't be steady on the screen. If there's no input signal coming into the Visual Cortex, then it will generate its own timing signals that will be independent of, they're just based off its internal clock. If there are input signals coming in and it's able to listen to those and detect them, then it will use those signals as its clock signals, which means that its video and any information that it sends out to other things in the system, like oscillators. Let's just have a look at that. Oscillators, these kind of things. There's a couple of oscillators here as well. An RGB encoder. All those things are dependent upon clock signals. So anything that it sends out, any clock signals that it sends out, will be based off the incoming clock. Now if we look at the right hand side of the Cortex, I've got two outputs. This output is actually going to the recorder, and to basically it's going to both of my screens. I'm kind of multing it out up here. It's a little bit messy, but it's going to a recorder, it's going to one screen over here and one screen over there. Now this one is actually the same output picture, but that's actually going into this CCTV camera that I've got set up, which is actually the camera that's filming me. The CCTV camera is not particularly interested in the picture that's coming in, but it certainly is interested in the timing information. And what the CCTV camera does is it uses this timing information as a Genlock signal, and it clocks itself using these signals, using the signals that are coming out of the Cortex. Now the CCTV camera that I'm using looks more or less like this. Take a look at the back of it, you probably can't read it too well. This doesn't want to focus too clearly and closely. That's the video out, and this is the Genlock input signal. So if it's getting a signal into there, it will use that signal to synchronize itself too. And then all the signals that come out of here will be synchronized with the rest of the Cortex. Now, what I can do is I can actually remove this timing information so we can see what it'll do. Okay, so I've got a little bit of bleed through on my Cortex as well. It's a very early one. They don't normally do that. But what we can see when we look at this is that this picture is rolling, and it's rolling because the timing is not synchronized. So that's effectively what the problem looks like when you've not got synchronized signals. Interestingly, if I hit the solarize button on the Cortex, the solarize button takes negative voltages and shows them as positive. So if I press that, you'll see something interesting happen in between the picture that's scrolling. So you can see that some lines have appeared. Off, on, off, on, off, on. And those lines are actually negative voltages, and those negative voltages are actually the timing signals. So that's how it kind of knows where the timing signals are. And they're quite specific signals, but it's interesting that we can actually visualize them in this way. So let's go to about half and half here. I'll plug that back in. Now, interestingly, on this component input signal, there's a green, a blue and a red. Now if I take the red out, we've lost our red. Take the blue out, we've lost some blue, and we're actually down to a mono signal because the green actually gets normaled through. So you're getting green going into red, green and blue. We've put these back in. This is going to get interesting because in a component system, as a general rule, the timing information is in the green signal. So that's what this is clocking onto. So if I actually pull this out, then what we'll see is that the Visual Cortex is no longer able to Genlock to the incoming green component signal. So this picture in the bottom right is going to start moving. The colour's got kind of messed up as well, but you can see that is moving and it's not synchronised. I can pull the camcorder out as well just for a laugh. Yeah, they're both moving differently because they've got different clocks that are moving at very slightly different rates. So I'm going to plug that back in to synchronise the CCTV camera with the Visual Cortex, and then I'm going to plug the green back in to synchronise so that the Visual Cortex can get synchronised with the camcorder. I have actually got a bit of a cold because I've been spent the last couple of days living in my van in London. It's December, so it's been really cold, but I went down there to see the Namjoon Pike exhibition at the Tate Modern. Namjoon Pike is the pioneer really of video art, and it's been a really interesting exhibition. Funnily enough, he's had quite a few of this type of CCTV cameras. There's quite a few of these on display. He's using them for various things. There's quite an interesting installation that he's got where he's using three of them pointing at a wall, and people can go and stand in front of that. One generates the red component, one generates the green component, one generates the blue component of the image. So when you actually look at the cameras themselves, what you will see is you'll see that one of them has only got one wire in the back or coming out of it. So that is the video out. Now, the other two have got video out coming out, but they've also got a Genlock going in. So the one that's only got out is clearly being used as the master. Then the other two cameras are Genlocked to that, and it pretty much goes straight into a monitor as far as I can tell. But it's really cool. Yeah. The other thing that I went to see when I was down there was the Bridget Riley exhibition at the Hayward Gallery, and that was incredible. It was incredible. Well, here's hoping that this video finds you, James, and here's hoping that it's useful. Alright, cheers. That'll do.